Yo, what is up, Knights? Just Rick here, back with some more DFO Crash. This time on, well, you already know it, female Brawler, guys, one of my favorite characters in DFO. I love this character, and obviously you guys can see the gear kind of reflects that. In fact, this character is very, very similarly geared to my Striker. They're actually going to be doing the exact same content between the two, so you guys can kind of see. This is a synergy character, so just keep in mind, yes, she is going to be not as strong as a Striker, just she's not as focused, but don't get it twisted, guys. Synergy characters can do just fine. But guys, let's go ahead and jump and talk about my pros and cons with the female Brawler. Alrighty guys, first and foremost, female Brawler has some insanely good talismans. Both the ground kick and Venomine talisman help her in massive ways, allowing you to cancel ground kick and install the Venomine, which makes her gameplay so much more fluid and allows you to keep the damage pumping with your basic attack strength. Secondly guys, I often tout Brawler as the warrior archetype of DFO. Her basic attacks give her super armor, and so thus it's always in your best interest to deal with most situations by just basic attacking right into their face. It's very simple yet very effective. Lastly guys, she has an amazing balance between great sustain and burst. Before her 3A, she had the fastest first and second awakening 1-2 punch combo, and this insane burst went along so well with the rest of her kit that's focused around constantly basic attacking. The 3A honestly feels like a step in the wrong direction in that regard, but I'll talk about that in the cons. Speaking of which, first con that I have about the female Brawler is that she is very basic attack centric. Now personally, I don't mind because it's always interwoven with her vast array of other skills. Blink and you'll miss it kind of thing, but I can definitely see someone saying this type of gameplay can get repetitive and boring. Secondly, she kind of has a little bit weak AoE. Now although her skills don't have range, I do have to say that she has some great grouping abilities and skills like Poisonous Explosive Hook and a low cooldown Heaven's Net. But aside from that, it's kind of weak. I honestly wouldn't want to farm with this character unless I had a really useful tool, which I'll probably show off in this video. And lastly guys, her 3A just doesn't make sense. It's not about the damage or anything like that. I just mean it's just weak conceptually, as the 3A itself is a long flashy animation when her entire identity beforehand was focused around burst and basic attacking. This 3A just seems negligent or just ignorant on how the character used to play beforehand, and thus why I don't like it very much. And alrighty guys, hopefully I'm going to be able to showcase most of what I talk about there. Just again, just talking about the gear situation, this character is just as geared as my other top characters that are on my account. You know, I have all the talismans. I will be able to show that off. One thing I did pick up as my Ditto Epic, and honestly, I didn't really care about what set I was supposed to get to make my character stronger. I needed to get the talisman selection. I have the mythic, which kind of coincides to kind of work together there. But now, all right, before we go any further, I want to cover some things because I forgot to talk about them in the Striker video. I want to kind of go over some passives and key things about the characters when you look at her skill window. First and foremost, guys, is the overstrain. Okay, she is a unique character because you can decide to go physical or magical, whichever one you want. Basically, you just turn your conversion on. If you're going to go magical, now all your skills do magical, and if you want to go physical like I am, all of your skills will do physical. And you can actually make this work mostly because of the overstrain skill. It basically equalizes both your strength and int as well as your crit. So if you guys check my crit right now, I basically have the same across the board. Now the other thing about this character and why do I have such low crit is because of the Art of Poisons. You guys can see right here, yet another character, my female Striker, I didn't get to mention it, but she has a very easy crit buff in the Fatal Aim. You also have a very easy crit buff as well with the Art of Poisons. So this is a hybrid character which is affected by conversion, and she has a lot of crit that is just inherently in her passives. And let's go ahead and jump into 2+2. Now, we're going to try to mimic as close as we can to the female Striker in this video. So pretty much we're going to be doing all the same content. But there's going to be a lot of stuff that I'm going to be doing that I can't really, you know, it's going to be hard for me to explain what's going on because people are just going to get their asses kicked nonstop. And that's kind of the thing about this character, is that she is all about destroying people with her X string. Okay, and let me try, because you know my Striker video I was really going 100 miles an hour. Let me try to break it down for you guys what this character is about, so you kind of get her identity. Okay, first and foremost, her identity is the snake stance, and that is her 2A basic attack string. And I kind of talked about it on my my Striker video, where I was saying, you know, some of these fighters have augmented X strings, and F Brawler is one of those characters where she has an augmented X string, and it's very fluid. It gives her super armor and attack. It gives her, you know, it is such a big damage. Like, I would say it's probably the strongest damage on the character for sure. You know, like that's without even thinking about anything else. It is definitely the strongest on the character. So you guys can see right here, utilizing both the 1 and the 2A right there, and can kind of just burst people down. So that's kind of the other thing about this character. Those are her 2 identities. The snake stance is one of them. It's something that it's so weird that you go through leveling this character. I mean, I'm saying you don't get access to the skill until you get your second awakening. All the way up until this point, you don't even have snake stance. So it's something that I want to warn you guys. If you're playing Brawler, if you're thinking about playing Brawler, you don't understand her until you get her second awakening. I cannot say that about too many characters in DFO. There are some. I would say like Elementalist is like in the same boat, where she just feels like Cancer before she gets her 2-way. This is a very similar character where she just doesn't feel right until she gets that second awakening, and then she gets the snake stance, and then you start to understand how the Brawler is actually supposed to be played. Yeah, like I said, just focus around the X string. You're going to see me doing that pretty much the entire time, for movement, for getting in, for initiating, for doing a ton of damage. You'll notice, you know, if you did rotations and stuff like that, you'll notice that it's often some of your highest damage skills. So, and obviously we're going to be interweaving that with some other skills. That's kind of how it goes, is that you don't want to get past more than 4 hits right there. You guys can see right here, if I do that last hit, it does this lunging attack, which has obviously longer startup. So generally what you want to do is do those 4 hits and then cancel with something. Doesn't really matter what. Generally you'll see the same couple skills used for that purpose. But guys, we're going to go ahead and jump into the 3A here and show it off a little bit. Probably kill him before it ends, but I am going to rant a little bit about this 3A, because if I'm being honest, and I kind of talked about it in my cons, the 3A is antithesis to the design of this character. And I kind of showcase why that's the case. You know, if you have a character who has really high focus on X strings and, you know, just sticking on top of people and getting in their face and canceling all these skills, it really is antithesis to basically halt you and put you on ice for 6 seconds or however long that awakening takes before you can start attacking again. So, you know, it really is a hamper to your overall damage. And it's not like it doesn't do more damage than the 2A. The 2A, although it is one of the fastest awakenings in the game, it's still going to be a little bit stronger than that, but it's nowhere near those levels that you're seeing on the female striker, where it was just blowing the old awakening out of the water, you know. So I'm going to show a rotation here that doesn't utilize and blow up the 1A. That doesn't utilize the 3A, and you can see I pretty much do just as much damage, just by sheer virtue of having more time to be able to interweave some other skills. So you're kind of, it's a lot more obvious when you do kind of sandbag testing. You can drop down the 1A. That's why I have it linked right now. I have it linked to my 2A, because unlike most characters in the game, the 1A is really abusable on the Brawler. And so, you know, I'm kind of contending where, do I just want the fast version of that real quick, or do I, you know, do I want to have a little bit stronger animation but then lose out on all these snake stance hits? I don't know. So, but guys, I told you this video was going to be hard to talk about, because this Brawler is so unique. Brawler is a unique character, although she is a very straightforward character. When you really break it down, guys, this character has no real systems of her own aside from the snake stance. I mean, you guys can see here, you can just kind of cancel skills, and that's kind of how X-stringing into all the skills. I didn't even use any awakenings there. X-string into skill, X-string into skill, X-string into skill. That's her gimmick. And then you can worry about, what did I get there? Oh, cool. Then you can worry about, you know, planting the awakenings and doing stuff like that. But aside from that, guys, that is her entire gimmick. That's all this character is really about. And, you know, it's something that is a lot more simple, I will say, than the male Brawler. The male Brawler is doing all these cancels and throwing all this stuff. Nope, this character is so straightforward with her awakening, but it doesn't mean that it's bad. It's actually a lot of fun to play, and it's also really abusive when you're doing boss type fighting. You know, I talked about on my striker video, you know, the ability to stick on top of an enemy. Well, Brawler has no problem with that because of the snake stance and because of other very abusable skills as well, such as crouch. So, and we're going to do some of that DC and assault mode as well. I'm going to showcase something that I didn't have a chance to on my striker because I had even a more abusive build, but we'll just show the normal Donnie Crevice for now. Now, the talismans, okay, I wanted to mention this at some point. Why are the talismans so good? The talismans are so good in light of what the skills normally work like without the talismans, okay? Ground kick is a good example. Okay, that's how the skill normally works when you don't have the talismans, okay? When you don't have the talisman, it takes a long startup. It has a long startup and then has a long aftercast delay. It's a strong kick, don't get me wrong. Ground kick is a really strong kick, but the problem is it often takes way longer than it's worth to cast. So it makes it an annoying skill to use when you don't have the talismans. But the nice thing about the talisman is it allows you to remove the aftercast delay with any other skill of your choosing. So you can cancel it with Venomine right there. You can cancel it with pretty much any of your other brawler skills and do it pretty much immediately. So that's one thing that Talisman provides for you. It allows you to remove the aftercast delay, and it makes it so much more smooth to cast that skill. But then you guys also saw the other talisman that I didn't get to show off, Venomine. Okay, Venomine becomes an install type skill. Usually with the Venomine, that might actually be even more annoying, but normally with the Venomine, you have to stay in place and hit all the mines yourself. So there you can see the cancel, how it works, how little aftercast delay you have, basically none, depending on which skill you cancel with. And it's so much faster. But yeah, Venomine becoming an install type skill, so useful. And like I said before, you know, any time that you can get for more basic attack is going to be more damage. So it is definitely going to be more damage. Both of those things contribute to both a more fluid gameplay with the Brawler as well as more damage, because you're going to have more time to sneak in those basic attacks and get those hits in. So that's why the talismans are so good on this character. That's why I love talisman selection, because it lets me abuse those skills more often. Gonna go into assault mode now. I'm gonna take off my weapon and put on the weapon that got me killed in my striker video. Why did I have this weapon on my hotkey bar? Let me show you this weapon real quick. And I have it on my Brawler, who strictly only uses claws, but that's fine because I don't need the extra damage for claw. This is why I use this weapon, guys. This weapon is so cool. Okay, so I wanted to showcase this weapon in the striker video, but I didn't have a chance. Here you go. This is why I love this weapon. It basically provides a very abusive grouping skill at like 3-second cooldown. It is so good, man. Now, I'm not saying this character doesn't have AoE. She has some big AoE skills, like the new skill that she got right here. Boom, humongous AoE. But, you know, in normal situations, Brawler can't deal with a lot of those mobs where they are just barely out of range. Well, the Wyvern tomfoo can handle that for you. I think it is such a useful weapon to craft on all of the fighters that you have. Striker, obviously, I had it on my striker. It's useful on any fighter. As you can imagine, most fighters don't have the AoE coverage. They might have some skills that can deal with it. But, dude, it's so good to have a weapon like this, even in high-level content. You know, if you're farming Guide of Wisdom or something, this is something that I use. And, you know, I don't necessarily need the damage. I just need the really abusive suction effect. You can craft this weapon at Kiri's little reinforcement machine. It is a level 90 epic weapon, so it's one of those really... it's really one of those ancient weapons now that I think about it, but it's been out there for a really long time, and it's been abusive for a really long time. Not to mention, a lot of them look kind of cool, and this one has a really cool and extremely abusive effect. Wanted to talk about that because I recommend it basically on all fighters, you know. I don't care if you're a claw character like I am right here. It's still going to be useful in this type of situation. So I haven't used hardly any skills at all, guys. All I'm doing is grouping them up and then kicking them in the shin. What else do I really have to talk about Brawler? Well, I'm going to be doing some harder content here in a second, but like I said, I wanted to warn you guys about, you know, the identity of Brawler. You're not going to understand it till you get to 2A, and I think that's such a weird design choice on their part, you know. It really shouldn't be the case where you're only starting to figure out the character only after you basically leveled it to max. This was something that was even worse before she had her second awakening. You know, as you can imagine, you know, she was just a character, and most people at the time only geared her up and only bothered to get, you know, junk spin and then use her as an assist and forget about it entirely. I'll have you know, I don't even have junk spin but level 1 just for the utility. But you hardly ever use it once you get to end game here. It's actually becomes too slow of a skill to actually warrant any damage. I think the Talisman's the only way you can make damage out of that, and even then it's only comparable damage to what you normally would have gotten out of Snake Stance. So I'm not kidding when I say, guys, Snake Stance is the strongest basic attack skill probably in the game. I've asked this question before. I've posed this question, like maybe Spitfire might be higher. I don't think so. I think this is straight up unanimous. Nobody is going to hit damage chart numbers like the female Brawler is. I'm saying it will always top your damage charts when you do rotations on the Brawler. It's so good. So, unfortunately, been pretty dry lately with these runs. But, guys, we're going to go ahead and make our way over to the Pand War Challenge mode to showcase some harder stuff on this character. But hopefully I was able to showcase that Wyvern Tomfoo. That thing is so cool. Alrighty, guys, we got the challenge mode set up. But guys, I did mention as a con, this is a very basic attack centric character. If you're not the kind of person who even bothers with basic attack, or if you're not feeling the basic attack, then this character is not going to be for you. It's very, this is one of those characters where it's going to be a hard sell. I don't think I'm just going to be able to tell you that you're going to love Brawler right away, okay? Like Striker, I can just tell you straight up, like, you're going to like this character. Doesn't really matter. But this character is an acquired taste. It's definitely not something that I'm going to expect everybody to just like and pick up. There's no, like, system to it. You know, there's no really gimmick to it. It does get kind of repetitive. There's a lot of that kind of stuff with this character. So, you know, if it's not gelling with you, trust me, I understand. And you're not going to be hurting my feelings. So, but that being said, I do think when you finally get around to, you know, actually sticking on top of enemies and getting all of the gear that you need to be able to do this, I think it actually becomes a very enjoyable character. You know, I generally like characters who are a lot more nuanced, you know, they have a lot more skills to worry about. But, you know, it's always fun to play a character who is just, she feels like a brawler. She feels like somebody who just doesn't give a fuck, man, who can just go in there. And it's kind of fun and enjoyable to do that with... Oh, shoot, okay. With your suite of skills. You can see I've done a lot of damage to her already just with my basic skills right there. So, making short work of her. This is a really easy gimmick to worry about. Won't be the case for the next dungeon we go into, though. So, yeah, acquired taste with Brawler. We're going to try to get a good rotation here. I'll include the 3A as well. I'm going to drop down this and hit with this. Then kick with this, into this, into this. Oh! Screw it, I went with the 2A. Should have went with the 3A, but it's fine. Still able to kill anyway. It's kind of free form. This next guy in reverse streak can be a problem. Sometimes he can really just... his gimmick attack is a little bit changed. If you recognize him from normal mode, like hard mode or something, it's a little bit different because it's more solo centric and it's a little bit harder to deal with it. One other thing that's about this character that I want to talk about is the fact that she actually utilizes very well skills from the other classes. In particular, Neck Snap. You guys see I have Neck Snap kind of shortcutted right here. Neck Snap is a steal skill. You will need to PvP to get that, but it's so good CC. It's perhaps one of the best CC on the characters that's not even part of her kit. It is so good. It causes a force stun on hit instantaneously, so you can use it to interrupt all kinds of nasty stuff that normally would get you. Here, I'm going to try to use my X string to super armor through and just get out of... See right there, you can see how abusive the super armor is off your X string. There's all this lightning on the screen. Doesn't really matter because Brawler can just tank it with her awesome X string. Ow. It's twice he's hit me with that charge. Alright, you'll see how slightly changed this is. He's going to go down. Where is it going to be? Okay. Barely made that. I'm going to hit him with this, hit him with this, hit him with this, hit him with this. And throw that Venom Mine, and then hit him with the 3A, baby. This is big damage right here, man. Had a pretty good rotation there. It's very similar to Striker, you know. It's not as flashy as Striker. You're not seeing as many damage caps as my Striker can do, but you are definitely seeing all this damage on the screen. She can just keep piling it on. I think a lot of people maybe underestimate her speed. You know, Brawler is one of these characters who has some incredible speed, just like most fighters do. You know, they generally have the speed on lock, you know. I'm going to showcase a Nen as well. Oh, God. have enough crouch there. I'm going to showcase Nen as well. She's also about speed. I'd say all the fighters are all about speed. You know, that's kind of their hallmark, is that they have some of the fastest awakenings in the game. That's something I didn't really get to mention about Striker. And basically, it's a hallmark of all the fighters in conjunction with their fast basic attack and their fast speed. And there's a nice abusive crouch yet again. They also boast some of the fastest awakenings in the game. I want to say they do boast the fastest awakenings in the game. They don't have... obviously, I already showcased the 1A and 2A. They're basically instantaneous 1-2 punch if you want. But, you know, that's also why I'm so frustrated that the 3A is the way it is, because it kind of ignores the fact that that's one of the hallmarks of fighters, of the female fighters, is that they have these awakenings that are just instantaneously fast. They are just so fast. I am very lucky. I'm usually dying against that attack all the time, so I'm lucky I'm dodging it this time, but being a little bit more cautious since I know he's in the corner there, so I don't want to mess around too much. All right, I'm gonna hopefully get a good... Oh shit! Okay, get a good rotation here. Okay, into this. I'm gonna use 2A here. I just didn't know if I had enough time to hit with the 3A, and I'm actually out of skills here. Yeah, I knew the 3A would take at least 6 seconds, and I didn't know if I had that. So, anyway, phase 2. Let's go. I'm gonna try to see if he's gonna bother with the attack that always freaking kills me. Now, this character does have a little bit of iframe right there. You guys can see mount when you use it, gives you iframe. Most of the iframe that you're going to use on this character is going to be from the crouch. So you see I have crouch shortcutted. I don't have an abusive skill like the Striker does. So she's not as good as Striker when it comes to just, you know, abusing your iframe and sticking on top of a boss. But what she does have is, you know, her suite of super armor skills that can just tank through guys. Generally, you know, we're fighting against Sarposa here and he doesn't care, but you know, you can generally tank through attacks, you can super armor through them, and if not, then you can use your movement on your X string to get out of range. You're not really stuck in a lot of animation, especially when you get you know, the Talisman for Venomine. You're not really going to be stuck in animation very often on this character, so it's also another reason what makes her really safe is that you know, you're not going to be just playing this risky game all the time. So also doing some small nuances here. You can see I'm using the aerial version of my skill there, and we got him. Okay, nice. Didn't even bother using my potions, but dang, guys, we did a pretty quick run right there. 7:22. My best time has been 7:30, so even with me showcasing some of my skills and stuff, I was able to do a pretty quick time. So yeah, guys, that is female Brawler in a nutshell. Basic attacks, staying on top of a dude, constantly getting that basic attack off. I mean, how much damage did my snake stance do? Yeah, we're talking top of the damage chart. So you guys can see my other two skills at the top of the charts are obviously due to the Talisman selection. Hell, 2A didn't even do anything. But you can see how much damage we're talking here with the snake stance, if you give it the chance. You know, obviously if I did my 3A, the 3A would be higher, but that means my snake stance would be lower, and they kind of balance each other out. That's kind of what I talk about when I kind of condemn this Viper Strike 3A, is that, dude, we have the best basic attack in the game. You can't just treat her 3A like everybody else in the game. But guys, hopefully I was able to showcase a little bit of the Brawler. I'm going to go jump into the Stormy route a little bit, but hopefully I was able to showcase the Brawler a little bit for you guys. You know, the Brawler is one of those characters where I don't feel like she gets enough attention. She's one of those like underrated characters that people have their opinions about them. Of course, so many people made them in the past, mostly due to the junk spin memes. But I don't think a lot of people have given her much respect beyond that, you know, given her much attention. And I just want to showcase that she is a sleeper character. She can definitely put the hurt on you. And especially if you gear her out, she can, you know, dish it out just like the rest of them. Honestly, this character is a little bit stronger than my Paladin, if you've seen that. But again, that's probably due to the Mythic. But, you know, she can dish it out like crazy. Brawler is nobody to sneeze at, so definitely don't just sleep on this character just because you know she's a synergy character or whatever. She plays so much like the female striker in that regard. She can stay on top of guys. She can do so much damage, and she's really burst centric with her 1 and 2A at least. Her 3A is the one that's kind of suspect about that, but man, I love her 3A. You know, aside from that, one thing I didn't get to talk a little bit about was what her passives gave. Okay, so I do want to mention what her passives gave. First one is with the Hidden Stinger. You guys can see it just changes Hidden Stinger. You guys see right there, it bounces off the ground now. It's very similar to the Western Fire on the male Ranger, which it kind of bounces off the ground, basically gives it more AoE. That's just one of those utility changes that you're never going to complain about, right? More range and more utility. It's going to hit more guys, which, you know, it's good. It's pretty much decent, but the Hidden Stinger is not going to be nearly as comparable as what your X string is going to provide with Snake Stance anyway. So it's not like it's going to replace your X string or anything. It's more like you're getting more aggro, you're getting more, you know, range on that skill, because normally that skill has no range whatsoever. So that's a nice addition. You know, unlike female striker, that's something that you can actually use. Okay, and then the second thing that she got was actually something that is related to her explosive hook. How it works on guys who normally can't be grabbed is it just explodes, and that's what you kind of get with enemies now that can be grabbed. Okay, but normally what happens is you pick them up into the air, you hold them up into the air, and you have to wait for them to explode. You can detonate it early, but it just wastes time. It normally looks like this, and then you have to detonate it manually. The explosive hook now, though, that was a poisonous explosive hook. The regular explosive hook now basically puts a landmine on them, and then it detonates automatically. That's usually how it happened against people who couldn't be grabbed, but now it works on all enemies regardless. So that is probably the best change out of all of the passives that she got. It's definitely better than the Hidden Stinger one, because it makes it just a lot more usable and abusable as a skill. So not saying that the Hidden Stinger isn't good. They're both good. It's just that one is extremely good, because now you don't run the risk of, oh, should I use it on that guy? Is it going to work properly? It's always going to work properly. It's always going to be a great cancel out of your X string system. So those are her two passives. I recommend this character highly. I like her passives. I like that new skill that she has, the one with the crazy AoE. It's just her 3A. It's just her 3A that's got me, you know, I'm not sold on it. And you hardly see me using it. I'm just not sold on this. It looks kind of cool, but man, I just wish it was, you know, I don't know, something about it. I wish it was better. Okay. Okay, and I knew something was wrong right away when I realized my damage charts didn't go up nearly as high as they did on my female striker. You know, when this patch came out, I went right into the training room, attempted to do rotations for the new builds. When my striker got her 3A, it was an instantaneous damage increase. I'm talking 30 billion more damage on your striker compared to the 2A. But for Brawler, I mean, I was eking out maybe 5 bill at the best, and I still haven't been able to get more than 10. So it's kind of like rip, but at the same time, I'm still happy with the changes she got, and hopefully in the future they'll address something about the 3A. But for now, guys, that was a little bit of the Brawler action. Hopefully I was able to open your eyes on the Brawler, because I know this is not a very popular character, but maybe this might be the next character for your event character if you have any interest in that. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching, and I will catch you nights later.